imagine that you have passed an exam, you're looking forward to celebrating at the end of the week with your friends and your family, and you wake up the morning you're supposed to go out celebrating, and you can't walk, and you can't go and celebrate. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel? Disappointed? Yeah? Scared? Right? You haven't had a fall, but you can't walk. And you're feeling, not only can you not walk, your body is so weak that the day before you're at work and you have to have your friends helping you get dressed because your body is so weak. Imagine another day. You're at work, you're carrying out your duties as normal. You go to make a phone call, and instead of making that phone call, you find yourself crying, not little tears, crying, your head's spinning around, and you're about to drop to the ground. And the reason why you don't drop to the ground is because your colleague comes out and grabs you and puts you down somewhere safe. Both of these events happened to me. People ask me, why do I do my business? Why have I got this passion about employers looking after the well-being of their staff? I'm Ruth Pearson from Listening to Your Voice. I have a hidden disability, as they call it, lupus, that can flare up any time, and stress is one of the causes that causes me to have the flare up. So the first time, when I had just come back, I was working away in Dealus school. Things were going relatively fine, but some of the students were really, really challenging, very racist, and I thought I was coping with it. I thought I was coping, but my body wasn't coping. And I came back home the Friday, and the lupus flared up, and I had 3 weeks in the hospital while they were trying to find out why it is that one day I'm at work, and the next day I can hardly move. They just said that I've got an unusual way in terms of my lupus attacks me, but I just have to basically take how long it was to recover. That took 4 months. The last incident happened about two years ago, 2 years this February. As I said, I was carrying out my role teaching. The students that day in class, they had the audacity to tell me that I should be grateful because they're basically being rude to me, because the way that they're being rude to me is not as bad as they were rude to other teachers in the school. The fact that 3 members of the department had gone off on long-term sick, they just thought it was fun. They were just going to see basically how many teachers in the school they were going to stay home in this school year. They didn't think actually that this is going to impact in terms of their education. This is going to impact in terms of the students who want to actually pass their exams. You're hindering them from getting their grades. So from this situation, I thought, I can't be in an environment where I'm having to be home because of problems that's happening at work. And that's why I made the decision, I want to go and see what's happening outside of education. And that's where I met Ted. I was visiting the business show, and YBC had YBC Street, and I was just curious to see, well, what's all this about? And Ted goes, well, this is what we're doing. If you want to join us, you can join us. You know, choice is up to you. But as I researched more, I thought I need to be part of this. I needed to be part of a group that will build me up instead of being a group that will pull me down. And the more that I was part of the YBC group, it was like I wasn't feeling very well, and I went to one of the YBC events. I think it was the one that you did at Manor House in Wanstead. And Ted was there, and he was going, why don't you come and exhibit at the business show with us? I'm thinking, I've just joined YBC, me go to business show after being in education, and my friend was with me, and he goes, why not? He goes, why don't you go to the business show? So I went and I exhibited at the business show, and it was like my friends just couldn't believe that this is where I was. And I think that from that experience of being at the business show, then it gave me the confidence to go and do other things. That was my why for starting my business. I asked you at the beginning, what is the one thing you want to do this year? You know, it's important that as we go through the year and even through the month, that we have goals that we want to do. Because if we don't have goals that we want to do, we can get lost and we lose who we are. And one of the things that 2013, I found myself redundant from a job that I was working in. That's why I was then working in these other schools. And I didn't realise in terms of how depressed I was losing my job. I thought that, you know, I was coping, but I wasn't. And I realised that I'd lost my identity. I didn't know who I was. Like when you go out networking, the first thing people ask you is, what do you do? And I realised, yeah, I could say I do this, but it still wasn't me. So I realised that in terms of me, that I go out and I help people who are hurting. I go out and I share my story with them. I go out and I transform lives. That's who I am. The title, teacher, coach, that's what I do to help people. But actually in terms of what I do, I go and I help transform lives. And that's what I did. So this is my book. It came out literally 2 weeks ago. It's called Say Yes to New Opportunities, Be Motivated to Learn. And on the back of it, I have a quote. It says, listen to your inner voice and do not let anyone stop you from being the person you know within you need to be. Not someone else, who you need to be. And that's what I did. So being part of YBC helped me to discover who I am. Helped me to discover that there's so many gifts I had that were completely, that I didn't even know existed. So by going out to networking, doors started to open for me. So one of the things I did is I became a coach in terms of wellbeing. I was at Hammersmith Means Business and they had a whole big exhibition all to do with the London Healthy Workplace Charter. And it's about businesses showing that they really look after the well-being of their staff. Lots of people do it as a lip service, but this isn't actually a charter mark. Like how you've got investors in people, you can get a charter mark to show that you look after the well-being of your staff. And the first level is just committed. I'm just committed to looking after the staff, and you're just showing these 8 standards how you look after your staff. And then if you want to go up to the other levels, you go to the GLA buildings or City Hall, and you have an interview for a day with a verifier, and we go through your portfolio to show that you really do look after the well-being of your staff. So I saw the exhibition at Hammersmith Means Business. I went and I found out what it was about, and then eventually last year in September, they took me on now, so I'm a verifier of that charter. And next week I'm going for a verification day. Again, not sure which companies I'm going to be working with, but last time at Crossrail, they were the last company that I was part of their verification process. So it's like companies like that. So the companies could be large companies, they could be small companies. Through being at another networking event, one person saw me, connected me with another person. Eventually now, I'm a TV presenter on a community show. So I go out and I basically share my story to encourage others that this is where I was, but this is what I'm doing now. So coming out networking, you never know what doors are going to open. But in order for those doors to be open, for you to take those opportunities, you need to be motivated to learn. So learn stands for listen. You need to be able to listen to other people and take part in active listening instead of passive listening. You need to be engaged in the process. You have to have the right attitude. And once you've done all that, then you need to reflect and you need to make a choice. Do you want to be in this group or do you want to be in this group? In the book, the chapter's called, do you want to be in the minority or do you want to be in the majority? As business owners, we're in the minority in terms of, you know, we get up each day and we decide what we're going to be doing in terms of running our life instead of someone else telling us this is what we need to do. And then once you've done that, then you can take the next steps. So then you can take the next steps towards that goal that you want to do at the end of the year. It might be in 3 months, it might be in a week, it might be today. But you need to have a process in place to show what it is that you want to do. And once you know what you want to do and you know where you want to go to, take the steps that you need. And in order to take the steps, the first thing you need to do is you need to start. And then once you start, you need to think who's there with you in terms of the team. And we've got YBC to help us as part of that team. Then you've got to think about your emotions. How do you feel about the step that you're taking? And once you've done that, then do something positive. And if you do all those, you'll have the success that you need. So today, go say yes to new opportunities. Because as you say yes to those new opportunities, you don't know which doors are going to open.
Well done, Ruth.
Can you get a picture of this?
Yeah, that'd be